7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. He ESPN. Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, L-Dad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in. Pete Carroll, we see you.
Welcome to 32 Kings Road, hosted by the league ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and it is my pleasure to be here today with every single one of my brothers. This is episode, I think,
57.
57?
There you go.
Yeah, we getting up there.
Minus 7.
This is episode 57 of our show, and today we have a special guest. He's not really a guest, but Coach Joe, Ambassador Joe, is in the building, so we're going to chop it up with him and talk about his season, as well as ask him some questions about the game that we love, the game of football. But first, as a reminder, you can follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. That is Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, please check out our website, theleagueam.com. Please take a look at our online blogspot, Diplomatic Immunity, where we want you to make submissions. If you've got anything to say about anything in the world of sports, submit it to us. We'll post it on our website as well as our social media. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. Like I said, we've got Coach Joe. We're going to talk about some hot topics in the game of football, make some picks. But first, Red O, what you sipping on, sir?
Sipping on a little pale ale, but I'm also sipping on the fact that we should all never forget that Smush Parker was a part of the highest scoring backcourt game of all time.
Ever.
Never forget.
82 points, baby.
Wow.
He had 13.
He had 13?
94
So
points.
94
I thought he had one.
No, he had
Dad, what you sipping on?
I am sipping on the fact that if anyone's listening, if you are a figurehead, an actor, an athlete, a politician, just know that Twitter has receipts, and you need to be careful. And if you are any one of those people, if you have any conversation with anyone, it needs to be in person. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Well, I'm sipping on irony. And I'm a watch this, piggyback off of that by saying it's really ironic that a big man who has to work in the low post and has to have a back to the basket game.
He's a rim protector.
And a rim protector.
And a rim runner.
And a rim runner. Rim to rim.
pounded in the post.
It's irony.
Nope.
Kev, what you sipping on, sir?
First off, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Today, I'm not sipping on anything. I did just finish the greatest piece of sweet potato pie cheesecake that I've ever had in my life. Shout out to my sister.
E-Dub.
But today, it's Kristen, actually.
Oh,
she came
shit.
throw down in the kitchen.
Chris.
Yeah. Chris, she held it down. I would like to make a special shout out, a special rest in peace. Today marks 11 years since Sean Taylor had his life snatched from him. So I feel like it's something we need to make note of. As much as I hate the Washington franchise, Sean Taylor meant a lot to that team, to the league, to this area. So yeah, every time around this year, man, it's always rough. But 11 years went by like that.
Coach Joe.
And real quick, and Kenyon, you look like a ghetto astronaut, but keep going.
This is gonna be a wild show.
I'm ready to blast off too, buddy. Coach Joe, what you sipping on, sir?
Oh, I'm sipping on some low carb monsters.
All right.
Yeah. That's what I'm sipping on.
That's it.
That's it.
He said,
He hasn't been here in a while. But you know, hey, Coach Joe, you looking slim on the camera, man.
You heard low carb.
Oh, wow.
Let's take a look at that shirt, though.
I know.
Let's sip on that shirt.
We're going to sip on that shirt a little bit.
Okay.
Junior Blue, what are you sipping on, sir?
I'm sipping on some water because I'm still in detox after Diplomat, Jasmine, and Scott's wine and vine party. So I'm detoxing.
That was Saturday.
Yeah.
By the way, that was Saturday.
So
Missed that.
also, I'm sipping on.
That's not the holiday party, is it?
No. It was another one.
No.
Yeah,
was another
you know what I mean?
So, the Jacksonville Jaguars were a trendy choice to go to the Super Bowl, or at least be one of the dominant teams in the AFC. Over the summer, Tom Coughlin. I guess we all knew they had a dumpster fire at quarterback. We knew that.
There's no guessing.
But Tom Coughlin felt like, hey, we were one Miles Jack return from going to the Super Bowl, and he said, let's run this back. Well, the dumpster fire has shown up all season long, and they've lost, I think, 7 games in a row. And we all knew they had a negative at quarterback. Yes, a negative.
A negative.
So my question is this: he's not the only one to blame, because they're giving up 27 points a game for the last 7. So where's the problem outside of the one we know?
Well, I think it actually still stems from that, because even though you have a great defense, your defense will suffer if the offense is terrible and they stay on the field. The defense has to stay on the field the whole time. So I think it still does start with the offense. I mean, there's a reason why they fired their OC. There's a reason why they didn't make it to the Super Bowl last year. Predictable play calling. And then that trickles down to the defense, and it just snowballs from there.
So with the firing of the OC, though, they've moved on to Cody Kessler.
The legend.
The legend.
Fight on, baby.
He gonna be fighting
Every game.
I think if you look at the offensive side of the ball, and it, speaking of the dumpster fire and Blake Bortles, he's a quarterback that has to be managed. He's a quarterback that you sort of have to. He needs assistance. And last season they had a lot of assistance in the form of Leonard Fournette. Fournette played most of the games last year. He had over 1,000 yards. Fournette missed the first 7-8 weeks of the season. He's actually going to miss this week because he decided he wanted to run across the field. And so I think that also plays a part, to your point, Devin, in the sense of, your inefficient, inaccurate quarterback is basically put on the spotlight. And you could tell that was the problem, because that's why they traded for Carlos Hyde. At that point, they weren't for certain when Leonard Fournette was going to come back, but they knew that they needed to somehow protect Blake from himself. So not having that protection, not having that covering, as Devin said, exposes the defense, puts them on the field. And also, it's a very immature defense. And what I mean by that is it's a lot of young guys. And I really feel like they just quit, because even some of the premier players, they're not getting the same turnovers that they got last year. They're not scoring. They're not scoring in the same way that they did last year. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they knew, regardless of what was said in the press, Jalen Ramsey, about we can win a championship with Blake Bortles, you knew that was a lie. We all knew it was a lie. And I just think that immature defense, they gave up and have given up.
See, I understand what you're saying, but typically when there's a great defense and they know their offense is not that good, the defense takes pride in winning the game for the offense. Like those great defenses of history, it don't matter. There's no quit. They know it's on them.
That's why I said they were immature.
But I don't know if it's immaturity or is it coaching and they don't believe in
not being able to handle success. They've
always been. It's something
the
in that
in
environment where there can't be any leaders, because a leader wouldn't go for this,
right?
And that's probably why they traded away Fowler. they must know something's going on because they have the talent.
But I mean, another question is they didn't do much to help Bortles out. I mean, they let Robinson go, they let Hearns go. Marquise Lee is hurt every other game. And matter of fact, he hasn't played since week 2 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, they didn't do anything to help him out.
Well, and that's because
Injuries.
again, I believe they believed that here's the thing, like things like turnovers, scoring on defense. Like, if you have a great year of that, there is a regression to the mean that takes place. You can't expect and bank on that to happen every season. And so simply, it's a regression to the mean in that sense that they're not getting that scoring. They're not getting those opportunities again. And so now you see what it is.
They regress past the mean.
They dropped from second in the league in takeaways to 28th, fourth in fumbles to 25th, second in sacks to 27th.
Like, they're just a bad defense.
Well, I don't think they're a bad defense. I think that they're still the same defense. It's just something going on in the locker room, like Omar was saying, that I think the defense is like, fuck that. Someone got to go.
Remember
And we ain't playing until someone go.
Remember the Giants defense of 2016? They was on fire. They were dominant. Then they came back in 17, and it hasn't been the same since. Is that what's going to happen to Jacksonville?
Kev?
But a lot of what they did on defense last year, as Devin talked about complimentary football, it helped the offense. Again, you look at their turnovers. They had, 21 picks, 24 fumble recoveries last year compared to just 8 picks and 9 fumble recoveries this year. They're not getting the same pressure on the quarterback. I think a lot of that does have to do with we have a full year of that Jacksonville defense on tape now, and the direction that the league is going in now, you can game plan against them. And I do think at the end of the day, again, I said this in the season preview show, I did not expect the Jaguars team to compete at all this year. I think a lot of it comes down to them having that target on their back that Jalen Ramsey put there, but also that the organization put on there by extending Blake Bortles after that half-ass playoff run, where to me, if I'm them, I'm making this his prove-it year, and if he performs well this year, then you pay him. But otherwise, you have to go get a quarterback this offseason while still somehow paying Blake Bortles. It's just a cluster.
His numbers are basically the same this year. Yep. It's not that far off.
It's just opportunity. It's not having the run game. The question I have for you guys is, so now he's benched this week, which is a clear admission that, listen, it's not working. Do you move on away from Mr. Blake Bortles?
I think the league is moving on away from Blake Bortles.
He just wants to wake up in the morning and piss.
Yeah, right.
That's all he wants to do.
And it's crazy because Teddy Bridgewater could have been had for a 4th-round pick.
Man.
And they let the Saints get this guy, and they're going to rue that in about two years.
What about Kaepernick?
But hey, listen. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I think Tom Coughlin comes down and steps on the sideline. I think he goes out and he has to go out and get a veteran quarterback that can at least keep that team together. Hey, Joe Flacco, what you doing this
when
summer?
you say step on the sideline,
think
you
Doug
mean
Marrone's
take over?
gone?
I think he's gone. And I don't necessarily think it's a result of. I don't blame him. I mean, you saw they made the offensive coordinator scapegoat, but at some point you have a team that you have to win in this division now because you see what Houston's doing, you see what Indy is now doing after they spent a draft to get that team together. They got to make a change, and I don't know if Marrone, whether if he's the guy that continues to lead them or they go out and get a different quarterback. But I know that both Marrone and Bortles won't be in the positions they are right now this time next year.
I don't think it'll change. I don't think that'll be any better if he comes and steps down because his way of coaching is done. He's in the Coughlin. No one is dealing with that iron fist. These millennials ain't dealing with that.
Yeah, that's why everyone's bringing in younger coaches now. Because the players they tend to lean to those type of coaches now.
They can relate.
They can relate.
All right, well, let's get to our Brexit Bootbag winner for this week. Dad,
Yes.
please take it away.
Can you hit the Brexit Bootbag theme song for me, please, sir? All right, you turn it down a little bit, Mike.
Turn me up.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight we're gonna go to church.
Shit.
And we're going.
You sound like you trying to take somebody's panties off.
Hey, what's the difference? Anyway,
Can you say amen?
Ask the wife.
All right, so we're gonna go to the Book of Daniel.
The Book of Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Belshazzar's feast. Specifically, Daniel, verse 26 and 27. God has numbered the days of your kingdom and will bring it to an end. You have been weighed on a scale and have been found too light. This is the writing on the wall story from the Bible. 2017, the Alabama linebacker, Reuben Foster, had major red flags going into the draft. I mean, he had injury problems, drug history, and he wound up dropping all the way to the end of the first round. He was projected to go 11th to the Saints, would have been a great move, but instead they got smart and they picked Marshawn Lattimore. The Niners didn't see the writing on the wall. Stay with me now because this message applies to everyone. So they drafted him at 31, 31st pick in the draft. This January, Mr. Foster was arrested for marijuana possession in Tuscaloosa. In February, he was arrested on suspicion of domestic violence and assault weapon possession charges. In April, he was charged with multiple felony counts of domestic violence, possession of a weapon, and infliction of bodily harm. Now, this last one is very important because this is where the writing is on the wall, Mr. Foster. His girlfriend, who accused him of that domestic violence, came out 2 weeks later to say that the claims were bogus and made up after Foster tried to end their relationship. She told him that the injuries were a result of her getting in a fight with another woman. In May, she testified that all that was bullshit because it was a money grab and she was trying to scheme him to get him out of some money. So why the fuck is he still dealing with her? Because Saturday night, you guessed it, the motherfucker went and did it again. He got arrested for misdemeanor domestic violence against that same chick. So now the Niners finally read what was written and released them the next day. And the chickens have come home to roost.
But this is the NFL.
But I guess Ruben can't read because this week he is our Brexit Bootbag winner.
Golf clap for Mr. Foster. Amen.
Because
Let the
only-
church say
amen.
amen.
Let him say amen.
Because only in the NFL can you beat a woman's butt, but if you and keep a job. But if you kneel, you can't work no more.
As long as it's not on tape.
Because Washington sure enough signed him.
Sure did.
Claimed him, and the only
Claimed him
team that
quick.
did claim him.
Yep.
Wow. He's back on the grind.
Want to do it?
I guess he will.
We've got Football 101 with Coach Joe. Coach Joe is here. For those of you that don't know, he is a league ambassador. He is also the head football coach for St. Bernard's High School. He just completed his second year as a head coach. We're going to have him in, and we're going to talk a little bit about his season, as well as ask some questions about the state of the game of football, as well as specific moments from Week 12 of this season. Coach Joe, welcome. Golf clap for you, sir. And also a golf clap on your successful season.
Yes, sir.
How did it go this year?
It went well. Not exactly. It didn't end the way I wanted it to, but it went well.
By going well. What was the record? What happened?
By going well, we ended up going 9-3. We won the first time in almost, I think, 10 years.
Okay.
A league championship. We made it to the playoffs. First time, I believe, in maybe 15, 20 years. In between there somewhere. They've made it out the first round of the playoffs. So we actually got a playoff win this year.
Okay.
And the journey stopped in the second round. It was a really tough match against another school. And we just ended up on the short end of the stick there. Stat-wise, we had a lot of guys breaking school records. Just found out today we had a specialist that had over 600 yards in kickoff return yards and punt return yards that broke the school record.
Wow.
Running back broke the single season record in yards per game. Yards scored. Touchdowns in a game. He ran for over 1,800 yards. had also 600 yards receiving. Had over 35 touchdowns.
Who's that
on the
kid?
season.
What's this kid's name? He sounds great.
Then we had another kid. Didn't play last year. Actually had to sit out for other reasons
Politics.
that I'm not going to talk about. But
It's okay, we can.
Bullshit.
he came out and had a phenomenal year. Like, I mean, he ripped it, and he had over 800 yards receiving. 16 touchdowns, and he didn't play as a sophomore.
Right.
100
tackles.
100 tackles. Kid was all over the place. I mean, the way the season ended, we end up losing our second round playoff game with by 8 points, and we're driving with time running out. The very last play, he catches the ball at the 50, runs it up the seam. He has one guy grab on him, two guys that's grabbing on him, three guys are now on him. So you can literally picture him with four guys on him, and he's just dragging and dragging all the way to the 2-yard line to not get in. That's the type of heart that kid had, and he's crying, and he I can't wait to see him play next year.
Right.
Because both the two kids the last two I just talked about, both juniors. Big time D1 players.
So your first season, what was your record?
First season we went 4-6.
And this season 9-3?
9-3.
So you know what we expecting next year, right?
Oh, next year is definitely going to be 16-0.
Talk your shit, Coach.
It's definitely the year I took the program over. The team I believe went 1-9.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that, I think they maybe won 2 other games. So the kids, in the program grew within the last 2 years,
right.
and they now believe they can win. I
Right.
think that was part of the change, was teaching them how to believe in themselves and teaching them how and letting them know that you can win. And it started last year, and they didn't know it. 6 games, 4-6 sounds 4-6, but 6 of those games we lost were by 1 point, 2 point, last minute
teams.
3 field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams giving up 2 touchdowns. So we were in games. But
there's a difference in learning how to win.
Yeah, and
Right.
this year it showed.
Yeah.
This year we're at halftime pulling our starters. You talk about the running back. He had 1,800 yards rushing, but he also had 6 games he didn't even play in the second half.
Right.
So that's unheard of.
Right.
So, but other than that, I'm happy with the season I had. I'm a little disappointed because I at least wanted to be in the semifinals.
Right.
So I can match my kids up. But we'll learn from this, and we'll come back next year, with some secret guys and some secret guys I can't talk about.
Joe, this is live.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one quick question about you personally before we get into asking questions about the game of football in general. But what would you say is the thing that you learned the most from year 1 to year 2 as a head coach, being that this is only your second year leading a program? What would you say is the thing that you learned the most between last year and this year?
I think what I learned the most this year is believing in my staff. Allowing them to do what they need to do and trusting them, because sometimes I have issues with trying to do everything myself. And because I know at the end of the day my name is going to be in the paper, and no one else's name is going to be in the paper, and I want my program to be successful. And I had to step back, and I had to allow my guys to do what they do and coach football. And is a lot. If you come to the games and you see me on the sideline, I think I got better than the year before. Allowing them to do their job. As far as personnel wise, making sure putting the right players in the right position to make sure that we win certain games that we're supposed to, and not lose the ones that where we aren't.
Okay. Kev.
So, first question I want to ask you, I'll get right to it. I think that we've seen this year more than any year before what the future of football is going to look like, with the emphasis leaning heavily towards, offensive production. So as a coach like yourself with defensive roots, how would you build your team or game plan a defense to go up against today's spread offense?
Okay, what type of quarterback is in the spread offense? Because there's two different type of quarterbacks that you got to plan for. I mean, I think when you talk about the spread offense, you first got to look at their signal caller. You got to look at the guy that's going to catch the ball first, and then you go from there when you're going to game plan against him. If it's a quarterback that's mobile, of course you got to really focus on what he can do to hurt you first. If it's a quarterback that's not mobile, then you can kind of be more loose and man up and run a lot of blitz schemes and coverages against him.
Okay. Redo?
So kind of piggybacking off of what Kev just said, this year through week 11, scoring is up to a record pace, 48.4 points a game total. A lot of that is due to the rule changes because of the NFL focus on safety, which is obviously giving a step up to offenses. Now, do you think this is the new norm, or will defenses adjust and point totals come back down?
Yes and no.
Can you elaborate? Sir?
I gotta fuck with Omar. I gotta fuck with Omar. I have to. It's been a long time.
Look, I was trying to chill, man.
No, honestly, it's tough with this new offense. I mean, everyone's running gun. Everyone wants to score, and I think the rules and the safety is great. I think we need to protect everyone. Even our defensive players.
Right.
But anything to get more eyes on the NFL, anything for them to say, hey, because it will never be basketball, football. We'll never put up 100 and something points, even though the college football game they almost
70, they tried
real hard to put up 100 points. But that's I don't think. When the NFL made the rules, they were thinking, oh, we're going to get more offense. We're going to score more touchdowns. I don't think that was their thought. But now that it's happening, they're like, oh, yeah, let's protect everyone. Let's make sure these receivers aren't getting their heads ripped off. Let's make sure the quarterbacks aren't getting touched. So to answer your question, which is, how do we defend that?
No, do you think defenses will adjust
and catch
up and scoring comes back down because defenses have caught up to?
Because Louis Riddick is losing his shit. He's like, if another defense plays cover one against these offenses again, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's the direction the NFL is trying to go on. They want points on the board. They want the fans to be excited about scoring. I don't think the defense catches up. I don't think so. I think what happens is that's what the no was. The no was it can't happen. It's gonna stay like that. You'll get some teams that have a lot of fast, aggressive football players that end up making big plays in the games, but it's even with scheming. It's like I said, this is a tricky question to ask. Like even if I'm scheming against certain offenses that like Drew Brees' offense, you can't slow that down. You're hoping that he doesn't put 60, 50 up on you. So you're okay as a coordinator with 34.
Yeah. So it's almost like your expectations change. Are you saying that gone is the day where the Baltimore Ravens defense or the Chicago Bears defense completely dominates a game and keeps a team in below 10 points? That day is dead. You got to be happy with, we held them to 24 and we scored 25.
Yeah, and it's a win for you because if you do hold a team to 10 points or less, then now where did the offense fuck up at? How many turnovers did they have? Mm-hmm. What quarterback did you go against? Did you go against a pocket passer? Because
Josh Rosen.
Those guys are they're moving. They're like look at SC and JT Daniels. You know, like they got a guy that's coming right behind him that's gonna come in and take his spot. You know, like the pocket passer is disappearing because everyone has this new system that and you know, my team is the Ravens, and I know we're gonna touch on that later on, but everyone needs that. No one wants that slow guy that can hardly get it down the field. And now they're bringing blitzes from the outside to inside. They're stunting D linemen now. You know, they have defenses where you have one guy with their hand on in the dirt. And you're watching, you're like, how do you, as a quarterback, you come to the line and you're looking like, okay, it's a 3 front. Okay, that's a nose tackle, 2 ends. Okay, it's a 4 front. I got 4 linemen. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about fronts. Well, I got 5 linemen. Now you got guys just standing there. So who's coming?
So you got to be able to move a little bit.
You got to be able to move, and that's how the game is changing.
Hey,
we have to get
Mitch.
faster defensively, to try to make sure you stop the offense from scoring so many points. But like you said, you know, with all these calls with his head touched him, and you know you sparing, like, I'm a defensive guy. Fuck it. I just feel bad for the college players. You know, because
they
they can get
rule.
straight out the game.
Yep.
And it might, you know, give a guy a chance.
And miss the first half of the next game.
And miss the first half. Like, it's taking money out my pocket, bro.
So, like Kev said, your defensive background. Tyreek Hill. He has 11 touchdowns, half of them
The
over
magician.
45 yards. Why, like Kenyon said, single high safeties, why are they not playing a safety over the top of him?
You can put a singer. You can put.
Why he sound like the DC? We got real defensive. What you want me to do? I can put a safety up, but that don't mean
That don't mean
a
nothing.
difference. It don't make
He
it
run away from
mine.
that. The safety. Now I got the middle of the field over. I'm what you gonna put it's a hang defender. So that's what we call him. We put a hang defender over top. You know, and that's why a lot of dudes are running man now, because it's like, okay, let me lock him up, take him out of the equation, and then if he's that good, let me bring a safety over top. But you can't do that for 60 minutes.
And now when they have Kelsey in the middle.
Yeah, not when you have a tight end like Kelsey.
And I kind of resent the
You know?
question. Let that man live. He on my fantasy team.
do that for 60 minutes.
Right now, that kid is doing the damn thing.
He is.
You know, he's electrifying. And I'm happy for him because he almost disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and to defend a guy like that, you just got to keep scheming. That's where the chess game comes in. You know, I honestly, like me personally as a coach, when I'm watching film and I'm breaking it down of the team I'm playing, and I see a guy like that, and see it's different from high school and college because they're only going to have that one guy. So you can put that hang defender over him in high school and say, okay, you ain't fucking me today. You know, but
It's dead on the stick.
it's dead on the stick. We're going to take him out to play. Let's see who else can play. Right? So, in the NFL, it's different because, like Dad said, they gonna have 2 or 3 other guys that can go. You know, and then with Hill, they can line. He can line up at the 1, motion over to the 2 on the other side. He can motion to the backfield.
Yep.
He can slip screen.
I've seen them do that all in one play.
All in one play.
I have a follow-up question to that because Josh Norman was on I think he was on Fox NFL in the morning. They were asking him how would you cover him, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna put my hands on him. I'm gonna press him." Is that a smart move?
You better get there.
If you're that type
Shields
of
didn't.
corner, if you're that type of corner where you're good at being physical and putting hands on someone, it can slow him down. It won't stop him, but it will slow him down, and that's when they'll start moving him. So once they start moving him, and that's what I'm saying. On defense, you have 11 guys to cover certain areas. Football is not like a maze of different coverages. Some coaches might cover 28, cover 7, cover 13. It's only really truly 6 covers. You know, so once he moves, now you have to adjust. Because if you're in man, it's the telltale you're going with him.
Yep.
You know, now if he goes away and you're in zone and now you're sitting there. And now someone else has to stick him, and that guy
may not be strong at pressing.
Right.
pressing, he might not even be able to get his hands on him.
Right.
And now he's
Sam
up
Shields.
the seam and outside. So we're and it goes back to what we was talking about earlier. That's why this game is evolving, because now you don't see, like me, I played inside backer at 245. 5'11", 6 foot. You don't see those backers anymore. Now you're looking at the 6'2", 215, 220
Deion
that can
Jones.
run and stick the
Hey,
slot.
Joe, which
Yeah.
one? Pick one, dude. 5'11" or 6 feet. What you mean?
NFL said I was 5'11", but I say 6 foot.
It's like at this point, you're not growing anymore.
So
Talking about back then.
So going back to like the coaching part of the game. So this season in particular, which seems like, I mean, maybe it's happened before, but just it's so out in the open now. Why are coaches more so going for the 2-point conversion or going for it on 4th down, avoiding ties or overtime? Like, why is that occurring so much? You got teams that should be better off in the playoff standings if they would have just kicked the damn extra point or field goal.
I can't answer that because that's my struggle.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't say it's a struggle. Me personally, who wants to tie?
And that's the whole,
That's
the
what
whole
they say.
Tony
Yeah.
Who
Husband
wants
thing.
to tie? I don't want to tie. I want to win.
Truthfully, I think it's a trickle down from Belichick, who started going for it on 4th down all the time. Like,
It's a 50-50. You either going to get it or you don't. It's like going in on that kiss.
now we can get it.
Or what about playing for overtime? But a lot of,
okay.
I'm with
So
you
let's go with that.
I'm with you if it's overtime and you say I'm going for it. I don't want the tie.
So we're tied up.
Yep.
And, I'm just like, okay. Well, no.
Carolina last week.
Carolina
Carolina this weekend. Carolina last week against Detroit. Okay, they go in for the score. You kick the field goal. We're going to overtime. They're on the road against Detroit. Kick the field goal. Kick the extra point. We're going to overtime. They call the play. Cam. And it's tricky because in that instance, if the dude was open, if Cam completes the pass, they do win the game. But why even put him in that position? Why not just say kick the extra point and then we got 15 more minutes to figure it out?
8 weeks ago, Frank Reich, we talked about it on the show.
Right.
They were at midfield. They could have punted it, went to overtime, and see what happens. They go for it, don't get it, and they get one play, and it's a.
Houston kicks the field goal and wins the game.
And they really need that 7-4 right now as opposed to 6-5. Hey, Frank Reich, we appreciate you though.
yeah.
Okay, but what about the kicking game this year? Like, a lot of kickers, like me personally, I'm not putting it in a guy that comes to practice every once in a while and kicks it for 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to do what we do.
Let's just change the subject.
Cody Parkey.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a strong kicker like the Baltimore Ravens do, be kicking.
He missed
And
his though this year.
he finally missed
Tough,
one,
yeah.
right? He finally missed one. But
But an extra point though, Joe? Okay, field goal. But an extra point?
Coaches is dumb, yo. Like, they
We
dumb,
overthink
yo.
everything.
Mike Rabel last night, they're down, 4? They're inside the 5-yard line.
Yes.
They're not the better team. They decide to go for it. They don't get it. And on the very next play, Lamar Miller runs a
Sends it
90-plus
home.
yarder to bust the game wide open.
Yeah.
Come on, it's just a dumb decision. You have to know your team. You have to know momentum. You have to know if you can put your team in that position, can they bounce back from it? And a lot of times, more often than not, this season, coaches do that and it fails. They're just dumb.
And that's definitely Belichick's fault. He don't teach him how to coach.
no, he just gives them the schemes and say go. No, but like me personally, like I said, in my opinion, it depends on where we're at. What's your record? Who do you have later on in the season? Is this my only time? Do I need to get a win now because I'm on the hot seat? There's a lot of stuff playing in these guys' heads. Like, if I'm going to get fired next week.
Head coaches though.
Huh?
2 of those guys that we mentioned are rookie head coaches.
Hey.
But that's a fair point. I hear you. I
Yeah, I
hear
get
you
that,
on that though. That there are a lot of but should you be okay? So, as from a fan's perspective, should you be thinking about those things as a coach, or should you only just be focused about making the best decision for that game and not taking those other things? Are we asking too much to do that?
No, you're not asking too much. I mean, back in the day where the games were close, Yeah, but nowadays you might get blown out next week, and then now you look like you don't know what you're doing. So let me go ahead and
Try to get this win right
get this
now.
win right now.
Yeah.
So next week when I do get blown out, at least I'm 1-1.
Right.
Or 2-2. Instead of letting my kicker miss it from 20 yards out. Is it 15 or 20 now?
It's 30.
Is it 30?
The extra point?
Yeah, the
It's
extra
not 30
point.
From the
yards out.
15.
Yeah, it's 15.
It's 15,
So
right?
that's 32-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
32.
yeah.
32 yards.
Yeah, so why take that chance? Once again, he comes Mondays and Tuesdays, and he's off the rest of the week.
All right. Staying with the coaches theme, and I want to draw your attention to a play that happened on Sunday, and it's actually a play I've seen Baltimore do a couple of times with Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco. But in the spread, and they motion the quarterback out, or the quarterback will just line up out wide, and it's essentially a dummy play where the quarterback is just supposed to be hanging out there. What I don't understand from a defensive perspective, and I want to know what your take on it. So they lined up Andrew Luck out wide, and it was a 4th down play. Minka Fitzpatrick comes down, and instead of going out to cover Andrew Luck, he blitzes the quarterback. Now, in this instance, and I don't believe it was Jacoby Brissett. I actually think it was a running back. He actually lobbed it out to Andrew Luck. They did get the first down, but Andrew Luck got rocked from that play. My first question with that is, as a defensive coach, like, I kind of agree with what Miami did in that situation, which is that's a dummy player. I would have rotated a safety down to cover and then blitz Minka. But I like the idea of sending that extra defender in to put pressure in the backfield as opposed to covering the quarterback out at receiver. What are your thoughts on that play in particular? And thinking about the fact that, like I said, you guys have done that with, you'll bring in Lamar Jackson and then you'll put Flacco out wide. And it's like, why is anybody even covering Flacco? In fact, there was a play, I don't remember who it was you guys played against, but Flacco was wide open in the end zone. Lamar Jackson didn't even acknowledge
it was the other
him.
way around.
Oh, it was the other way. Okay, but he should have thrown it to Lamar?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your...
I mean, on that particular play, it was what, fourth and 1. They're inside their 40. They're trying to score. It's what, 2.5 left in the first half. So defensively, I thought it was a gutsy call, and
To blitz Minka?
to blitz him, but he had to blitz him because now you're putting more pressure. Because if you watch that particular play, he actually gets the running back before he even gets like the fake handoff. It was actually the backup quarterback.
Oh, Jacoby. So it was Jacoby.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, they threw
Yeah.
it. That's why the pass was on point and on money.
Well, it was high, though.
No,
It was a little high.
I don't think it was high. I think
It was too high for your starting quarterback to be
Yeah.
vulnerable.
and that's where as a defensive guy, you're like, okay, throw it to him.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna blitz my guy. Throw it to him because somewhere down the line you get all dozens of film. Everyone's doing it, like you
Right,
said.
yeah.
So, if we're gonna make them throw to him, and that safety knows his job on that blitz is to get him,
Yeah.
which he came down. He did. Me personally, I'm telling them come through with the shoulder to the head. Maybe I shouldn't. Say that.
Hey, Greg Williams.
But anytime you're gonna put your starting quarterback out there that had back surgery,
Shoulder surgery.
Shoulder
right?
surgery.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Let's get him.
Okay, and so then that leads into the second question is, as a head coach now, put your head coaching hat on. Why even do that?
that
Like,
play?
why even run that? Exactly. Why even run that
Me
play?
personally, I would never run that play.
Right.
But this goes into what Kevin's saying. We're dumb.
Coaches is dumb.
We're dumb.
Bro. That's why.
We want to do everything. It's
a copycat league.
It's a copycat league. Coaching football has always been once again. All the playbooks are all copied from other playbooks.
Right.
Nothing has changed. So you can say, yeah, I'm creating a new look and a new offense, but guess what? Someone else ran that somewhere. You didn't go to the board and say, I'm gonna put this number 1 here and put it. Nah, you saw someone else do it and you stole it, and then you're trying to tweak it.
Yeah.
So defensively, we have to start tweaking stuff to shut down what the offenses are trying to do, and this game is just turning into a speed track
Arena football.
on 100 yards.
Coach Joe, it was a pleasure having you here in Golf Clap again. Thank you so much. It was really good, sir. Clip that up. Put that out there. You ready for the big times. Let's get to some football tea, better known as hot topics. I don't have much to say here, but, being that we have to and we should cover the biggest events that happen in the NFL. Houston,
we ain't got to.
Houston Texans owner Bob McNair passed away this week. Dad, what's his legacy?
Well, it's funny that you say what you said because in my notes initially I said I don't have much to say. But what I will say is he was Mitch McConnell's largest donor from 2009 to 2015.
All right, and if you don't know who Mitch McConnell is, Google it. Let's get to something more interesting.
Shawshank running free now.
Yep.
Yikes!
Hey, McNair did say that his mom always told him to not to do anything that he didn't want to be on the front page of the newspaper, and he failed miserably at that.
Yeah, he did. Carolina Panthers. Speaking of shitty owners, even though their previous owner, not their current owner, but their previous owner was just as shitty as Bob McNair. About 3 weeks ago, we sat here and we was like, yo, man, Carolina Panthers, I believe it was Chef Curry that was like, man, Carolina, watch out for Carolina. And since that time, they've lost 3 in a row. Like I said earlier with Coach Joe, Cam blew a pass that could have gotten them to win in Detroit. They came home this week against Seattle, and not surprisingly to me, they lost. They're in trouble. What has gone wrong for them, fellas?
I don't.
All I
think
can say is, I was assigned the AFC South. Apparently, I don't know shit about it. Hey, they look solid, man. They did.
They still are.
I don't know.
They're gonna finish strong. I think it's like Kevin said once again, coaching. Coaching's been playing a lot this year.
Riverboat Ron is showing up.
Yeah, and everyone's fighting for jobs. They're trying to hold on to their jobs.
His job's secure though, Junior Blue. What's going on?
I don't think they were ever that good. I mean, honestly, they beat the Giants, the Bucks, the Bengals, and Eagles.
Talk about it.
All by 1 score.
And that Eagles game, they were down 17-0.
And
the Eagles choked that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would piggyback off that to say when they beat
So
the
would
Ravens.
Dwight Howard.
Oh, the Ravens. The Ravens is the best team that they beat, and we were reeling at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, I left them off.
He did.
Yeah.
Finally, Bruce Arians, one of our favorite coaches, has said that he's willing to come out of retirement for one job and one job only.
He on the side of the freeway with a homeless sign talking about need a job.
He wants the Cleveland Browns job. He loves the state of Ohio. He loves the Cleveland fans, says they're the best fans in football. Is that a move that Jimmy and D. Haslam should make, Redo?
Any coach would be better than what they got. He's coming out of retirement. He said he wasn't coaching again when he retired.
Right.
But he is campaigning hard. And we know the man can coach.
Right. And he is a legit quarterback whisperer, not one of those fake ones like John Gruden.
So, but I feel like...
I don't have any notes.
I feel like with this case, it has to be a great match between head coach and quarterback because you've married your franchise to Baker. So... it's one of those things where you sit them in a room together and see if they can put a ring on it.
Yeah.
You like that move, Dad?
The Browns is now an attractive job.
Yeah, it
is. Almost going like this. The Browns have the same record as the Green Bay Packers.
I know.
But, I mean, you talk about a young, talented team. Baker looks like to be the real deal. We'll see. I mean, it's still early, but you got Chubb, who actually kind of panned out.
Yeah.
Joe knows because he's on this fantasy.
You got Chubb and Barkley is on my squad.
You got Landry, Mr. Blessum, and then Njoku, who tried to take off from the 5.
From the 7.
And meant it.
Yes.
And
then someone grabbed him, and then he said, you know what? I will just come down and go in from the floor.
I mean, can you remember a time that they have been an attractive job?
No.
When Bill
Well,
Belichick
shit,
got
if
there.
I got to choose between him and Condoleezza Rice, I mean, it's a,
Easy one.
Yo,
kind
what
of a
was
given.
that about, Kev?
I don't want to know what that was about.
She
It
should-
was some shit that's beyond my
And
pay
she
grade,
had to
but-
put out a statement to be like,
She said, "I just want to call a play."
Just one.
But to Devin's point though, all of the young roster I think is attractive. But if you look even more at how winnable that division may be within the next few years, with both the Ravens, Bengals, and maybe even the Steelers going through organizational overhauls, whether it be coaching or with their star players, I think the Bengals got a chance to make some noise relatively soon.
The Browns.
And they still have draft picks, right?
Browns.
Yes.
Sorry, they've been the same damn
So
team.
that's
to me
why
for
he's
10 years.
campaigning.
what'd you say,
Because
Rizzo?
they still have a lot of draft picks.
They do. They still have a lot of draft picks. They've got some money. I mean, it is an attractive job. Kevin, I like that organizational overhaul. Code for a rebuild.
But y'all don't think they keep the D coordinator?
Well, that was the other thing. He said he's willing to keep Freddie Kitchens, who's currently calling the plays on the OC, and Greg Williams. I would love to see a locker room actually with Bruce Arians and Greg Williams. I think that's a whole lot of
No,
Cajun
I'm talking
fun.
about Greg Williams being the head coach.
And he's won 2 in a row, right?
Yeah,
I
well,
think they bring in an offensive head coach.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think they bring in
For
an offense.
Baker.
Unless, I mean, no, listen, we don't know. I don't know what the relationship is between Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield. I do know that he was the quarterback's coach prior to them getting rid of Hugh and Haley. So if there is simpatico there, it's true. They could just keep things the way that they are.
I think if he wins about maybe 3 more games.
They're on the outskirts of the playoff. They're not out of the playoff hunt technically.
Yeah, and defensively they're rolling because now he gets to do what he wants to do. And he
No
doesn't
checks
have,
and balances.
Yeah. He doesn't get
Kill the head, and the body must follow.
he pulled the seat out as soon as he left and sat and then pulled it up and says, "Now I'm the head in charge."
I'm glad you paused.
That was a gamble there with that statement. So let's get into some gambling shit.
I like that.
So we're going to get into our gambling segment, All In with Ken, sponsored by MyBookie. That's MyBookie.
.com.
Minimum deposit of $50. MyBookie will match your bet up to 100%, up to $1,000. Use promo code 32KR. Last time we were on the show, Kenny Ken went 3 for 3, and your boy made some money enough to get his sound system in his man cave. Kenny Ken, what we got this week?
Yes, Sonos, come holler at us, baby. We'll do it. Let's go. 2 weeks in a row, 3-0. Let's make it 3 weeks in a row, 3-0. Number 1, I like the Indianapolis Colts to cover on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, Indianapolis is favored to win by 4. They're going to cover. If you didn't hear us earlier in the show, Cody Kessler is starting. There is no Fournette, so they're not going to score enough. The Colts are going to win, and they're going to cover by 4. In our Funky Monkey Game of the Week... And I'm going to do it again because we got a bonus special for you because there's 2 Funky Monkeys coming.
The Funky Monkeys is coming.
We've got the Kansas City Chiefs going against the Oakland Raiders. You already know the deal. Chiefs, big time. Although, I must caution you, the line is 15. Don't get greedy and take the spread. Just throw them in a nice parlay just to win. In addition to that, you've got the Seattle Seahawks going against the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks are rolling, and they might be a problem come playoff time. Pick them to win as well. So I got a bonus in there. Kansas City to win, Seattle to win in the Funky Monkey Games of the Week. And then finally, Thursday night, really good game. The New Orleans Saints against the resurgent Dallas Cowboys. The game total is 52.5. Take the under. In 11 games that Dallas has played this season, 10 out of 11 have gone under the total of 53. Okay? And then the New Orleans Saints, the only time their games on the road have gone over 53 was when they played the Atlanta Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Atlanta Falcons are 29th in scoring defense. The Cincinnati Bengals are 32nd. Dallas is in the top 10. Take the under 52.5 this Thursday, New Orleans versus Dallas. Pick Kansas City to win, pick Seattle to win, and then take the Indianapolis Colts to cover against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Put $100 down, thank the league ambassadors, and go get you some money at mybookie.com. The promo code is 32KR. The promo code is 32KR. Folks, you can get some free money here and some good information. You better go make some bets and get this money. Let's get into our game picks. Really good matchups this week. We'll stay in Dallas.
Hey, calm your punk ass down.
Listen, it's time to get out of here. The show's over. New Orleans versus Dallas. Big Thursday night game. Kev, who do you have as our season records are up there? We'll start with our leader, Kevin, 118. 56. Junior Blue is in the ballpark. I'm in the ballpark. Dev is in the ballpark.
down.
And Omar is holding it down
Way
at the
down.
bottom. He's in Dwight Howard land.
I got a question though.
Yes.
Who won that last year?
The past is the past. Kevin, New Orleans versus Dallas. Who you got?
Saints.
Saints. Didn't even blink. Saints.
I can't pick against the Saints.
Can't
For
pick
real.
against the Saints. Saints.
Yep.
Joe, you get a courtesy pick since you're the returning champion.
Thank
New
you.
Orleans or Dallas?
Dallas.
Okay. Why Dallas?
Because their defense is playing football.
Okay. Yeah. I really want to pick Dallas, but I'm not. I'm picking the Saints. All right. Then we've got Minnesota versus New England. This, I think, is the best matchup of the week. The game is in New England. Redo, who you got?
Minnesota.
Dad.
I really want to pick Minnesota, but I can't go against Belichick in a game they need.
Yep.
Seeding.
Exactly. New England.
New England.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Kev.
This might change Sunday. I'm going with the Vikings because of the matchup, and New England on the road this year is sus.
But they're at home.
They're
They're at home. So is it changing now?
Well, then I'm picking the. Hey, I just typed what you put on the sheet.
Cook is balling right now.
Okay. I'm taking New England because Josh McDaniels and Belichick owns Mike Zimmer, going back to the days of Cincinnati. Los Angeles Chargers, my Los Angeles Chargers, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The game is in Pittsburgh. If Minnesota-New England is a really good game, this is also a good game. Not really good because Melvin Gordon will be out. Junior Blue, who do you have?
I honestly don't know, because
Oh.
who knows what teams show up.
Wow.
Both teams.
You sound like one of the Johnsons.
Hey,
Give me an
I'm gonna
answer.
go with Pittsburgh because they at home.
Pittsburgh at home. Joe.
Definitely going with the Chargers. I never go with the Pittsburgh.
All right, Kev.
Joe,
Pittsburgh.
I got to combat you on that one. I did 42 minutes of research earlier on tiebreaker scenarios that benefit the Ravens. We have to root for the Steelers in this game. Go Pittsburgh.
Redo.
Really, Kevin?
What the fuck?
Did you
Only
just
2
Did
minutes.
you just say that?
Yeah, he did just
We
say
will-
it.
We will
And I mean
handle
it.
we will handle our business on that Saturday.
Yellow towels, baby.
I
Oh my God, Devin.
I feel like how Les feels. I would have went with the Chargers, but with Melvin Gordon out, I'm going with Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Melvin Gordon makes a difference. Both teams are super sus. And I hate to say it, but yeah, I think the Steelers, and we actually need the Steelers to win. I'm with Kevin on that.
Listen here, folks. As a Chargers fan, I want to introduce a name for you guys. Austin
He's on
Eckler
my fantasy team.
and Justin Jackson, okay? They will miss Melvin Gordon, but not as much as you think. And Joey Bosa, folks, has made his arrival. He had 2 sacks last week. We're going to keep the party going. I like the Chargers and a big win, and that is everything. We got anything else, guys? We got 2 minutes here.
Eckler.
Anything else? Eckler.
He's gonna do good.
Thank you,
He
Joe.
is.
I thought so. That's why I picked the Chargers.
Somebody get this man some weed.
Whoa.
He calm his ass
Whoa.
down.
He's not talking about me.
It's not.
Put the camera back on me, Mike. Because this coach don't use drugs. Kids, stay away from
Say
drugs.
no is dope.
I know
Say-
it's
there's
I
no
know it's
hope in
legal
dope.
here
No,
in
he
California,
got-
but
he-
stay away from it.
he got
I
glaucoma.
drink energy drinks and water.
Kenyon.
Yeah.
Kenyon. Lift off, baby.
Yes, we blast blasting off, baby. This has been another episode of 32 Kings Road. Once again, follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is at The League AM. Please check out our website, theleagueam.com. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. We will see you next week. Cheerio.
It's only one bird in the sky.
All right.
7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. ESPN. Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the League Ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in.